Alright guys, today we're smoking 2 tri-tips. Each of these tri-tips are about 2.5 pounds. As you can see, this one is a little bit bigger, so it may need to go a little bit longer, but we're going to play it by ear. My plan is for these to season these with 2 different rubs. That way I can kind of gauge which one I like better. I'm going with Kinder's for both of them, so I have right here Kinder's, the blend. It's pretty much just garlic powder, salt, and pepper. Then I have this one. It's red garlic. This is a crushed red jalapenos, garlic. It's pretty similar, but it's got a little more spices to it. I like this one a lot. I haven't tried on a tri-tip yet, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes out. And then obviously I'm just going to add some crushed pepper to both of those. And we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to do a reverse sear on these, so I'm going to smoke them for about an hour. And then I'm going to take them out, turn the smoker up to 450, and then sear them both about 5 minutes on each side. I'm also going to do some asparagus and maybe some corn on the cob too as the sides. So yeah, excited to see how these come out. Looking tri-tips today. Anyone unfamiliar with a tri-tip, this is it. It gets the name by the 3 tips on it. They're kind of shaped like a triangle. They're really popular in California and on the West Coast, not so much on the East Coast. So for all my East Coast followers, this is what a tri-tip looks like. It's great. If you get the opportunity, I recommend you pick up one and smoke it because they're really good. As you can see, I got 2 pretty good pieces right here. They're both marbled pretty well, so I'm not going to do anything on the top. If there was some fat on there, I would go ahead and take that off, but like I said, these are pretty good cuts. They're marbled well, so go ahead and flip these over. And I'm going to go ahead and take some of that fat and silver skin off the bottom of these. So I have my knife right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and slice some of this off. Now I want to be careful here that I'm not taking off any of this meat, okay? But I do definitely want to make sure that I'm getting all this fat off. Because we're only smoking this for about an hour, we're not going to be able to render out much of that fat. So I need to cut off as much of this off the bottom as I can. And make sure I get it nice and good. As you can see, my son can't wait. He's ready to eat, so he's in here telling me to hurry up. Today, I'm just going to use olive oil as my binder. I'm just going to put a little bit on both sides of this meat. Kind of rub it in there nice and good. I went a little bit more than I planned to, but that's okay. Get that olive oil all over that. Rub it all over this meat. The goal of this is it's going to help this rub stick to that meat. Let's get a little bit right there. Rub that in nice and good. This and get that side. Got that nice and covered. Alright, now like I mentioned already, I'm using 2 different kinds of seasonings today. I'm going to use this rub, Kinder's the blend, on this one. And I'm going to use Kinder's red garlic on this one. We're going to compare it at the end and see how they come out. Let's go ahead and start with this. And when it comes to seasoning your meat, you know, whether it's tri-tip, brisket, pulled pork, anything like that, this is a big cut of meat. This is thick, you know. You can't really do too much. I mean, to an extent, obviously, right? At some point, you can have too much seasoning. But as far as this goes, I mean, there's a lot of meat right there, and you're only getting the outside. When you cut into this, the middle of that meat is not going to be exposed to the seasoning. It's just going to be on the outside. So I always season super generously, and that's going to help make sure that you form that nice, tasty crust. When it comes to a tri-tip like this or brisket, anything, you really want a nice, tasty, thick crust on there. It's going to give that meat a lot more flavor. And in my opinion, it's the best part of just about any smoked meat is going to be a good crust on there. And after applying the rub to both of those tri-tips, I went ahead and grabbed my pepper, and I just added a little bit more freshly ground pepper to both of these. Just enough pepper, seasoned to taste. It's completely up to you however you want to do that. Next, I went ahead and set my Traeger to 225 and let that warm up for about 10 minutes. Once I got it up to temp, I went ahead and tossed both of those tri-tips on. The goal here is to get those tri-tips to hit an internal temp of 130. It ended up taking me about an hour and 5 minutes. Times may vary depending on the size of the tri-tip and the Traeger, how much you're opening it, etc. But these came out good. Got a nice look on them. I went ahead and pulled them out after they hit 130 and set my Traeger to 450. That's the highest setting. Once it hit that, I brought these bad boys right back out, and I'm placing them on for 5 minutes each side so I can get a nice sear on both sides. Time to get a nice sear on these bad boys. It's been a little over 5 minutes. I got a pretty nice sear on that first side, so now I'm flipping them. And I'm gonna go ahead and do another 5 minutes on the second side, and then they'll be ready to go. And as you can see, both those tri-tips look great. This first one on the left is the red garlic one, and the one on the right is the blend. As you can see, they're taking up the entire cutting board. Probably a good hint that I should buy a larger one, but that'll come soon. They got nice color to them, super juicy. I'm barely even squeezing. That juice is just dripping out of these things. They look great. One big thing I want to touch on when it comes to cutting these tri-tips is making sure you cut against the grain. This muscle, just like any other meat, any muscle fibers in an animal, human body, etc., the fibers all run in the same direction. So make sure you're trying to figure out what direction those run in, and you're cutting perpendicular to those. It's going to make that meat a lot more tender. They're going to fall apart better. As you can see, I'm about to grab a piece right here, and it just pulls right apart. You know, I'm barely pulling, and it's just pulling right apart. So if you want a nice tender bite when it comes to this meat, make sure you're cutting against the grain. As you can see here, I'm flipping this meat over, and I'm kind of checking out the way those muscle fibers are running. Once again, nice juicy cuts of meat. That juice is literally dripping out of these things. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut, like I said before, perpendicular to the way that muscle fibers are running. This is going to give you nice tender cuts of meat. Definitely a very important step when it comes to slicing your tri-tip. Alright, so time for the taste test. Here we have the first one. Okay.
We tasted it good. Cheers.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the red garlic one. I like that a lot. That's my first time putting that on the tri-tip. That's good. Come here, Ray. Here, let me get you a smaller piece. Try it for the camera. Here. Please don't spit it out. I guess he liked it. He's been real picky lately. He didn't spit it out, so that could only mean one thing. Let's go ahead and try this other one. All right, here's a different one. These are the blend, salt, pepper, and garlic. Let's see that just tearing right apart. Barely pulling. Go ahead, give it a try.
That one's good too.
That one's good too. I definitely like the red garlic better though.
Yeah, but that's still really, really good.
And of course, anytime I'm barbecuing, gotta have some kind of beer. So I'll go ahead and chase that down. And cheers to another great video. Thanks everybody for watching. And on a final note, please, 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 please subscribe to my channel.